Hi, everyone, and welcome. I am Jessica Swan, your community manager for the NASA Scope project, and I am here today for the September Savory session. Savory session. So we are NASA Scope. If you don't know anything about NASA Scope and you're new here, we are in fact a community of practice. Our community of practice is defined by its domain, the community in which they serve, and the practice. So our domain for this community of practice is Earth and Space and Engineering Education. Ultimately, our goal is to broaden participation of learners of all ages. Our community that we work with are the NASA Science Activation teams, subject matter experts like yourself, and early career scientists. Our ultimate practice here is creating inspiring educational materials and experiences that are effective, that are true to science, and are inclusive of all audiences. Communities of practice, there are four types of communities of practice, and we align ourselves with two of those. So we consider ourselves a best practice community of practice and a knowledge stewarding community of practice. And for every savory session, we always start with a savory snack. So today's savory snack is shushki. So shushki is best enjoyed alongside a hot cup of tea. Shushki resembles a small rock-hard bagel made from flour, egg, water, sugar, and salt. They are traditionally dipped in tea in order to soften their exterior. So my question for you is where is shushki commonly consumed? Wait for a moment for those questions or those answers to roll into chat. This is perfect, right? Yeah, I know. All right, so the answer is Eastern Europe. That is correct. These are found in Eastern Europe. Man, I wish I knew more about shushki. Sounds interesting. All right. So that is it as far as the savory snack. Now we're ready to transition to our guest of honor. That's me. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Swan. I am the community manager for the Infiniscope project. Infiniscope is a NASA funded project based out of Arizona State University, and we specialize in digital learning experiences and tools. So I'm here today to talk with you a little bit about one of our tools called Tourit. Tourit enables us to create DIY virtual field trips. So Tourit enables this place-based learning. So place-based learning has received a lot of attention over the past few years as a way to contextualize learning for students and learners. There has been considerable research done on the educational benefits of this particular approach. And when it's well done, it has the potential to really help students build personal connections, boost learning outcomes, and increase student engagement. There are challenges of place-based learning, and when we say place-based learning, many of you probably think of a field trip. And whether it's just across a street or it's a 2-hour bus ride, that definitely somehow involves getting students outside of the classroom. So there are a lot of challenges that come with that. In-person field trips can be very time-consuming. They can also be very costly. And on top of that, there may be concerns about things like safety. There could be things like accessibility, or even just that the destination itself may simply be too far to be a viable option for a field trip. So, fortunately, many of the benefits of place based learning can also be obtained in a virtual field trip. So, for some, they may be the only practical option to explore these pedagogically rich places, but they can also be inaccessible places. So you get all the benefits without all the fuss. And what makes a virtual field trip? So virtual field trips are defined by their location, the story they tell, and how you are immersed into the environment. The location itself will always evoke this sense of place. Like the goal here is to feel like you're in that space. The story is some sort of interesting narrative. Is it a challenge? Are you trying to tell a story? When we go on virtual field trips, there's always some sort of storytelling component that's associated with it. And then finally, immersion. So, are we able to create a trip that has some sort of engaging format? And virtual field trips allow us to be able to uh, enable us to create a space where the learners can engage with the environment in a way that you can't actually do when you're on a live field trip. And field trips are actually not a new thing. In fact, at Infiniscope, we've been building these things for a very long time, like over a decade. And it used to require this high level of technical expertise. It required significant budget, fancy equipment, and honestly, it just took a lot of time. And that's something that we struggled with for a very long time. As educators ourselves, we know that content is not this one size fits all. You need to be able to create and customize the learning experience for your students and to be able to adjust to differing standards, different learning styles, different teaching styles, and even the content sequence can change from year to year. So all of these things can vary widely from one class to the next. And even though it took us a long time, we finally came up with a solution, and that solution is called Tourit. So Tourit is a totally free tool offered through the Infiniscope network, courtesy of NASA funding. And one of the factors that really enabled us to be able to offer this tool are advances in technology that we've seen over the past few years. So virtually everyone has access to a smartphone. There's photo stitching software that's widely available and it's relatively inexpensive. And even 360 cameras have become a much more affordable option for many people. And we've even tried to make this process easy. So we have included things like drag and drop functionality. We've tried to build something that has an intuitive interface that makes it easy for educators to create their own. And it has these powerful features that you're also able to embed. So you can embed things like websites or simulations or 3D graphics. You can embed things like YouTube and Vimeo videos. Recently, we have an update that allows you to be able to populate URL based videos. You can do things like text pop-ups to add some additional context. You can do PDF documents that allow the learner to kind of dive deeper into this particular topic. You can include still images with annotations, with captions. You can do background audio so that you actually hear the sounds of the space. So things like, if you're out in nature, you can hear things like birds chirping, thunder, rain, that sort of thing. And from the learner's side, what they really experience is something that is truly immersive. So they're actually able to experience that field trip as if they were there immersed in it. To them, it appears very elegant. It looks like it's a very expensive sort of integration. To them, it's exploratory because they're given some options, they're given some agency about how they explore the space. And we also consider it adaptive, so that because they have some choice and that they have agency, that also means that it adapts to them as a learner. And then also, as far as their experience, you'll see here, this is exactly what it looks like when a learner is engaged in one of these experiences. And this one in particular really gives you that sense of you are there, you are alone. It's kind of a quiet space. And it feels like you're actually on the path. The only difference is that we also have all of these options to be able to share more or learn more or contextualize this space. Sometimes you're out on a field trip and if you don't have any additional information, you're like, yeah, it's a tube. That's cool. But to be able to add in these additional layers of learning really kind of opens up their world as learners. Additionally, we have training that's available. So we have technical training, and I'm going to point you to that technical training here in just a moment. But we also have pedagogical training. So if you really want to learn how to use really strong digital learning practices in creating your own virtual field trips, especially if you want to create something that's exploratory versus something what we call informative, pedagogical training is definitely a thing for you. So technical training includes things, these are on your own modules that you can learn. We give you a set of media. You can go in, you can create your first virtual field trip. You can throw in some of these panos, you can throw in some images and some videos and some text boxes and things like that, just so you can get a sense of how the tool actually works. And then join us at Pedagogical Training to learn more about how to zhuzh it up, how to do your own, how to capture your own media, how to gather media, all of those things. And getting started is actually super easy. So I'm going to drop over here in chat. So I'm going to drop a handful of resources for you. So the first is a link to the wiki, and I'm going to open up the wiki here real quick to show you what it looks like. So when you first get to the wiki, this is what it looks like. So it gives you a lot of just overarching information about it. But what I really want to point you to here is the starting with Tour It on your own digital lesson. So when you click on that, it actually takes you to some instructions on how to get started, and it points you to the different modules. So when you click here, you can go to module 1, and all the modules are here in the bottom. Module 1, module 2, module 3. Each one of these probably take you on the order of maybe 10 minutes. So these are really quick, get you in, super easy things to do. And the other link that I just dropped in chat is learning more and examples, so you can experience some of these tours. So educator created tours. And then finally is creating your own account. Like I said, this is totally free because it is a NASA funded project. To gain access to the tool, you do need to create an account. So you need to click that join button. And I think that's it for me. I think we can open the floor for questions. So I'll hang out here if you have any questions for me. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time.